Hare Krishna, everyone. Dhanavat Pranam to all of you. So I welcome
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Dhanavat Pranam. So let us listen to this wonderful chapter. So this chapter signifies the meeting of the dear devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, Uddhava. And it shows us the intense separation that Vidura is feeling in the absence of Lord Shri Krishna, and the intense devotion that Uddhava is feeling for Lord Shri Krishna. So this is this wonderful chapter. Let us start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskruchya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं हरिः ओं तत्सत् ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण all of you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
धन्यवाद प्रणाम माता जी।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mata ji. The name of this chapter is Vidura approaches Maitreya. So Vidura, he is approaching Maitreya. Maitreya is a very great sage. And we all know Vidura is a pure devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. He was the brother of Pandu Maharaj and Dhritarashtra. So Vidura, he wants to comfort himself because the situation is Lord Shri Krishna has disappeared from this material world. Of course, Krishna is all pervasive. It is not possible that God can disappear any moment because Lord's disappearance is like that of the sun. The sun in the night, it is apparently not visible, but that does not mean that the sun is dead. It's just that the sun is in another part of the world. But even though, nonetheless, we can very clearly feel that the sun is not there by the mere fact that there is darkness everywhere. Similarly, when Lord Shri Krishna withdraws his personal form from this material universe, it is very, very painful for the pure devotees. And this separation also had to be tolerated by the Mother Earth, upon whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead had walked barefooted. So after receiving such kind of a benediction to touch the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mother Earth was also very, 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 very aggrieved by the separation from Lord Shri Krishna. So this is the devotional service in separation. So love increases in separation. So we see so many people telling their stories. For example, I will tell you one story. There was a son who was having a lot of problem to connect with his father, and he was not able to express himself, and the relationship continued like that. One day, unexpectedly, the father passed away. So this son was very disturbed for at least 6 months. So he was just feeling, if my father was there for one more day, I would have expressed to him how much I love him, how much I respect him. But I didn't get that chance. I didn't get that chance to reveal my heart to my father. But now my father is not there. So this is how the son is thinking. So that means the love in separation increases. When we are in separation of our loved ones, it simply multiplies exponentially. We cannot help but only think about that person. So that is what is happening to Vidura. So let us see the context, why Vidura has come to Uddhava and why Uddhava has directed him towards Maitreya. So it all started with the Brahmanas cursing the family of Lord Sri Krishna. This is definitely the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, why would the Brahmanas curse the family of Lord Sri Krishna? Krishna is known as Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. He is the God of the Brahmanas. Brahmanya Devaya, Brahmana Priyaha. So he is very much encouraging towards the Brahmanas, and he has always been perfectly showing his attitude towards the Brahmanas, because the Varnashrama system was created by him, Lord Sri Krishna. So why would the Brahmanas curse Krishna? So certainly this is the divine will of Lord Sri Krishna, that the Brahmanas have cursed, because Lord Krishna has decided that he wants to go back to his abode. So to withdraw his pastimes, he is doing this. So out of his will, the Brahmanas have cursed the Krishna's family. How did that happen? So one day, the family of Lord Sri Krishna, Samba, etc., they all went and made fun of some sages who had come there for performing a fire sacrifice. So these sages cursed that you will kill each other with an iron rod. So after the fire sacrifice, all the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, they took the remnants of prasadam after taking permission from the Brahmanas, and they drank a certain kind of liquor made of rice. By drinking that, they became delirious and they started to scold each other. And then they started to fight with each other. And they killed each other, all of them. They all had to go. And this was the way Lord Sri Krishna had planned their going back. So Lord Sri Krishna, he foresaw this, that this is going to happen. And what did he do? He left his family and he went to the bank of the river Saraswati and sat down under a tree. So we can see that Lord Sri Krishna has given up his family life. Krishna has taken sannyas. He has given up his family life. This is not at all extraordinary, because whatever Lord Sri Krishna does, the whole universe follows. Mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. All the living entities, they follow whatever Krishna does. If Krishna does not do, they will not do it. So here Krishna is showing the pastime of sannyas, because all the sannyasis, they take the shelter of Lord Sri Krishna when they take sannyas. So it is given in the chapter number 18, when Lord Sri Krishna speaks about renunciation. He says that if a person is completely giving up all activities and the fruits of action for the Supreme, that is called as renunciation in the mode of goodness. And for such a renunciate, there are no more karma. There is no more karma for such a renunciate. A sannyasi does not have to suffer any karma. So Lord Sri Krishna has left his family life to set an example. Krishna does not have to do anything. Krishna, he goes to Gurukula under the instructions of Sandipani Muni. Does he have to learn the Vedas? Actually, the Vedas are emanating from him. Brahma Aksharam Vidhi. Brahma Aksharodbhavam Vidhi. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that the Vedas are emanating from the body of Lord Krishna. They are coming from the Lord's body. So he doesn't have to go to any Gurukula, because he is the master of the Vedas. Vedanta Krit Veda Vid Eva Cha Aham. He is Veda Vit. He is Vedanta Krit. Veda Vit means knower of the Vedas. Vedanta Krit means he is the compiler of the Vedanta. His incarnation is Vyasadeva, the original compiler of all the Vedas and the Vedanta Sutras. But still Krishna is going toward Gurukula to set an example, so that nobody will say that Krishna did not go to Gurukula. Krishna did not take shelter of a spiritual master. Therefore, I also do not need a spiritual master. So today there is a fashion that everybody likes to say, many so-called spiritualistic people, they say we do not have a guru. I do not need a guru. I am self-enlightened. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as far as he is concerned, in all his incarnations, he is accepting a guru. And he is instructing, just surrender unto a spiritual master, a transcendentalist who knows the truth. Submissively render service unto him and ask questions. This is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna. But unfortunately, some people would like to say, we do not require any guru. We are self-enlightened. So Krishna is setting an example. Similarly, Krishna is living his family life. Now, he is sitting in the banks of the Saraswati, and he is deeply thinking. and he was looking very, very beautiful in that form. He placed his right lotus foot on the left thigh, and he was looking very cheerful, even though he left his family life. So he's just showing he is Atma Rama. He's not just Atma Rama. He's the head of Atma Ramas. Atma Rama means one who is self-satisfied, one who does not require anything else or others for his happiness. Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnasvadochate. One who is happy in himself, he is called as Sthita Prajna, Atma Rama. One who enjoys in himself, he is Atma Rama. Krishna does not require a family to be happy. He has done the pastime of marrying 16,108 wives for reciprocating with his pure devotees. Why did he marry the 8 principal wives? Rukmini, Satyabhama, Satya, like that, there are 8, Jambavati. Each of them has a pastime. All of them are pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, who wanted that the Supreme Lord must become her husband. So Lord is reciprocating in the Madhurya Bhava, in the conjugal love, as a husband, as a lover. But he does not require anybody. He doesn't require anyone for his happiness. So he left his family and he was very cheerful. And we must remember, Krishna is full of 6 opulences. And one of the opulences is Tyaga, renunciation. If he is full of the opulence of renunciation, and he is the head of all the renunciates, why does he need a family life, a mundane family life, which is actually very much criticized and condemned? Why does the Supreme Lord require? Because everything is his energy. There is nothing separate from Krishna. So he is very cheerful, happily sitting. And then Maitreya Muni had come there. And Uddhava had come there. And Lord looked at Uddhava and started speaking. I know your desire. Uddhava was in the past life, he was a Vasu, one of the 8 Vasus. Because you have desired my association, I am giving you this chance that you are talking to me at this moment, in this pastime, when I have left my family. This is a very, 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 very confidential darshan I am giving you. And now I shall declare, you shall go back to Vaikuntha. Because of your pure devotional service. So Uddhava could not control himself. Actually, Uddhava is talking to Vidura. Vidura has approached Uddhava for seeking transcendental knowledge. Uddhava is now telling to Vidura about his meeting, or the last meeting with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was his last meeting. And Uddhava, he could not speak anymore. When he just heard this, it was unbearable, and that Supreme Lord is going to leave him. At the same time, he was overwhelmed that Lord Shri Krishna has promised him to give him the liberation of associating with him in his spiritual abode. Yat gatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama, going back to Godhead. And then Uddhava does a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful prayers, saying that, oh my dear Lord, kindly explain the transcendental knowledge about yourself, which you have explained it before to Brahmaji. Jnanam param svatmaraha prakasham. Jnanam Jnanam param svatmaraha prakasham prabhachakasmai bhagavan samagram apikshamam no grahanaya bhartrar vadanjasaya vrijinam tarima. My Lord, kindly explain to us, if you think us competent to receive it, the transcendental knowledge which gives enlightenment about yourself, which you have explained before to Brahmaji. So this is the transcendental knowledge. Dear devotees, what we are hearing is not ordinary. Kindly pay attention. This is extraordinary knowledge. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyamagata sarge pinopajayante pralayena vyatanticha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. This is very important information. See, the information is we are not the body. We are the spirit soul. And whatever we are or whatever we think we are, our identity, our body, our lifetime, is just a small dot on the infinite timeline. So just like this, there are some people who do not save for future. There are some people who save for future. But those people who save money for future, they live happily. Because in the time of need, they have got that money. But those who have not planned their life, those who have only lived the current day, they suffer a lot. Similarly, we are living entities or the spirit soul which does not die at all. The spirit soul doesn't die. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The body dies. So have we planned for our future? We should think about it. Just like the person who is not planning to save money for future suffers, a person who does not plan for his future lifetime suffers much more in this material world, because the material world nature is suffering. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. The Pandavas, they are suffering. And Lord Ramachandra has shown in his pastimes how there is suffering at every moment. So this is the nature of the material world and we have to accept it first of all. And once we accept it, we have to plan for the future. Future is the material nature is going to give us another body. And how do we know that? It is very easy to know. It's not at all difficult. Jamyam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Whatever nature we think of at the time of quitting the body, we shall attain that nature. So, if I shall think about my family, is that wrong? Why is it wrong to think about my loved ones? I love them so much. They love me so much. Can't I think about my loved ones? Is it not divine to think about my loved ones? It is not divine. Because family life means repeated birth and death. So if we simply think about materialistic bodily relationships at the time of death, we shall definitely take another birth. See, we should not do that. Then what should we do? We must remember Krishna. Antakalecha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. At the time of leaving body, we must remember transcendental nature, Krishna. If we remember Krishna, we shall attain transcendental nature. That is, no more birth and death. Currently, we are not transcendental. We cannot say Aham Brahmasmi. We are in a conditioned living entity. We can say Aham Brahmasmi when we have completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we have realized our position as the part and parcel of Krishna, that time we can say. Until then, by simply saying it does not make any difference. Aham Brahmasmi. The material nature will simply award another body based on our consciousness. It is all about consciousness. This is very practical, scientific, logical. It's consciousness. What consciousness am I in today? There are two levels of consciousness: material consciousness and spiritual consciousness. Spiritual consciousness means Krishna consciousness. That is, remembering Krishna, just like how Uddhava is praying with intense emotion. This is Krishna consciousness. Are we Krishna conscious at the moment? This is what we must question. Uddhava is in separation. Vidura is in separation. They're intensely remembering Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. If we remember, if we continue this mood, then we can go back to Godhead. But if we contemplate on the material bodily objects and relationships, we are sure to take another body without any question. But if we get this transcendental knowledge about Krishna, then we can surrender unto him. See, because we cannot love a person whom we do not know. But Krishna is not a stranger. He is the super soul within us. But we are conditioned living entities. We have lost our relationship, just like the rebellious son who left his father's association by fighting with him and is sleeping on the platform. We have left the royal opulent kingdom of God and we are sleeping on the platform of this material world and living like a beggar here, being suffering the diseases, old age and death. What we have to do is simply go back to the Father and confide our mistake. My dear Father, I have forgotten you so long. Kindly forgive me. This is all it takes. And the Father is just waiting with his arms open. And the moment we return, he's going to embrace us. But the living entity, this rebellious son, is so stubborn, that he is ready to leave on the platform and eat the food offered, the spoiled food given by people, but not ready to go back to the opulent home of Father. This is the problem of the conditioned living entity. So first of all, we should know who is God, who is Krishna. Once we know, then there shall be no more birth and death. I just quoted one verse where Krishna was saying in Bhagavad Gita, by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Mama sadharmyam agata. We can get the transcendental nature of Lord. Lord is not like a material living entity. Like us, suffering birth, death, old age, disease, and again having to take birth, being forced by material nature to take birth, being forced to take difficulties, that is not his position. He definitely comes to the material world, but upon his choice. So there are these conditioned living entities who are like those people who are in the jail, and the liberated living entities who are like those people who are free citizens. But beyond this conditioned and liberated, beyond the free citizens and the prisoners, there is the king. Beyond the Kshara and Akshara, we have the Purushottama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of both. So we must listen to this knowledge. This is transcendental knowledge. That's what Bhava is asking. Please tell me this knowledge. Because by listening to this knowledge, we shall not be born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. The cycles of dissolution and creation of the universe shall not disturb us. We can go back to the transcendental abode. Ityaveditahardaya mahyam sa bhagavan paraha adideshara vindaksha atmana paramam stitim. When I thus expressed my heartfelt desire unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed Lord instructed me about his transcendental situation. So Uddhava is very lucky. He is getting personal instructions from the Supreme Lord. So should we feel very bad that we could not hear that? Uddhava has heard it. Should we feel bad that we could not hear Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna has heard it. We could not see Lord Sri Krishna, but all those people who were in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they could see it. It is not at all necessary for us to think like that. Because I'll tell you one example. Just think about your favorite musician. Favorite musician of the bygone ages who is no more present in this material world. Are you not listening to the cassette of that singer and still enjoying the same feeling? Even if the singer is not there, his song is there. It is as good as the singer being there. Even if Krishna is not there in this material world personally, his song Bhagavad Gita is there with us. His instructions that he gave to Brahmaji, the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, is there with us. And his disciplic succession that is coming from Brahmaji is very much live. So if I hear from the representative of the bona fide disciplic succession of Krishna, it is non-different from hearing from Krishna, because the message is the same. Simply think of this like this. The disciplic succession is like the tape recorder that plays the cassette. The cassette is not being distorted by the tape recorder. It's just an instrument that plays the cassette. The cassette is original. That is, the CD is original. The CD player is playing it. The original song is being transmitted from one generation to another generation like a transparent via medium by this Guru Parampara, who are acting like an instrument of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, this is as good as taking the instructions directly from Krishna. Even if we cannot take the direct audience of Lord Sri Krishna, we have Archa Vigraha, the authorized incarnation in the form of wood or stone. Lord mercifully has come in this form to take our service. Then why shall we feel sad that we do not have the direct darshan of the Lord? Next time when you go to the temple, take darshan, Just think that here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, direct audience. This is the correct mood of taking darshan. So Lord Krishna has given this Chatushloki Bhagavata to Brahma. Very, very, very wonderful verses. Very beautiful verses. So I'll just read one of the verses. Aham eva shamevagre nanyat yat sadasat param paschadaham yadetacha yove vashyeta somyaham. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation also, what remains is I, the personality of Godhead. So Lord Krishna is saying that before the creation of this universe, there was nothing, absolutely nothing but God. Nobody, specifically the Upanishad calls out and says, Na Brahma na Ishano. There was no Lord Brahma, no Lord Shiva before the creation. This is from the Upanishad Vakya. Eko Narayano Asit. There is only Supreme Personality of Godhead who is there before creation. And after annihilation, again, nobody is there. Only Supreme Lord is there. That's what it means. He's telling to Lord Brahma, whom you are seeing me now, is that original person. Govindam Adipurusham. Adipurush. Adipurush means the original personality of Godhead. He's there. The next verse it says, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relationship to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy and as a reflection which appears to be in darkness. If you switch off the light, can you see any reflection? There is no reflection. Similarly, if there is anything in the world, if we think that this is independent of Krishna, it is simply pure illusion. If you think of it as in relationship with Krishna, then it becomes meaningful and real. Otherwise, whatever activities that we are doing, if we are performing them without relationship with Krishna, it is 100% illusion. That means there is absolutely no benefit for that. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, 17th chapter, 28th verse. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Partha, son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called asat and it is useless both in this life and in the next. So if we do some religious function, we are doing with it a great pomp, doing a lot of charity, like the richest people in the world have done. We may donate billions of rupees to billions of people. We may do tapasya like Hiranyakashipu for 60,000 years. Or we can do the fire sacrifice like the sages of Naimisharanya for 1,000 years. Without faith in the Supreme, it is useless. Krishna is saying clearly. Useless, not only in this life also it's useless, next life also it is useless. Completely useless. Just like how we have a zero. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 multiplied by 0 is 0. You can add 100 zeros, but it is still 0. That because there is no relationship with Krishna. All we have to do is add Krishna to our life, add Krishna to our faith, add Krishna to everything that we do. Without that, whatever we do is very, very meager. In Krishna's words, it's absolutely useless in this world and the next. It does not carry any weightage. We may come up with 1 million theories, this ism, that theory, this theory, whatever charity, whatever we are doing, the so-called beneficial activities, they're completely useless as far as the permanence is concerned. Just give me a second, excuse me. I have to take an urgent call, excuse me. Hare Krishna. So instruction, Chatushloki, whatever appears to be of any value without relation to me has no reality. So please relate everything with Krishna. This is the instruction of the Vedas. The instruction is Yat karosi, Yad ashnasi, Yad juhosi, dadasi Yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. All that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as the austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me. That's the reason why, you see, whatever religious function that we do in the Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, at the end, we say this prayer. Kayena vacha manasa indriyairva bhutyatmaka va prakrite svabhava karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. So that means whatever I shall do with my body or with my mind or with my words, everything I shall offer it to the Supreme Lord Narayana. So every ritualistic karmakanda activity, any worship will end with this prayer. Or we will say, Sakalam Shri Krishnarpanamastu Om Tat Sat. Offering to Krishna. Because if we don't do that, that activity, it becomes completely useless waste of time. At least some value we will get out of it if we offer it to Krishna. If it is not direct devotional service. But if we are doing the 9 ways of devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, offering him prayers, these 9 processes, they don't need to be offered. I don't need to say chant. I don't need to chant and say Krishna Arpanamastu. That is not required. Because that is already a service to the Lord. If I'm chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's already that I'm serving the Supreme Personality of Lord with my tongue. I don't have to separately say that, my Lord, this is for you. That is actually for Lord only. That we have to remember. So we must be situated in the activities of the Sat, permanent activities, real activities. We must not do Asat activities, childish. Just like how we tell to children, stop this immaturity, stop childish activities, become mature, become serious in life, do something important, do something permanent, do something real. This is what is the instruction. Do something which is real and permanent. That is Sat, that is Krishna consciousness. The verse number 36, Krishna is saying, a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. So we are encouraged to find out about Brahman. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Let there be questions related to Brahman. Who is Brahman? Who is God? We must ask this question. Who is God? Why are we not asking this question? And it is absolutely not true that Sanatana Dharma has not defined a God. If Sanatana Dharma has not defined a God, then why are we calling Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan, means God, the song of God? Why are we calling it as Bhagavatam, the story of God? Absolutely, with 100% clarity, Sanatana Dharma has declared, the Vedas have declared, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The testimony for this is the Shruti Gita. That is, the Vedas personified, they do prayers to Krishna. That is, Vedas are also persons. And these all the four Vedas and all the Vedangas as persons, they personally come in front of the Supreme Lord and they pray to the Supreme Lord. This is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is called as Shruti Gita. The prayers of the personified Vedas. In the entire Vedas, there is only one place where the Vedas are speaking. The Vedas are speaking personally and they are accepting that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a beautiful prayer, such a beautiful prayer. The Vedas are saying this. I'll read out one verse for you from the prayers of the Vedas. The Shruti said, "Victory, victory to you, O unconquerable one. Jaya, 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 Ajam, Ajita Dosha, Gribhita Gunam, Tvam. Jaya, Jaya. Victory to you, O unconquerable one. By your very nature, you are perfectly full in all opulences. Therefore, please defeat the eternal power of illusion, who assumes control over the modes of nature to create difficulties for conditioned souls. O you who awaken all the energies of the moving and non-moving embodied living beings, sometimes the Vedas can recognize you as you sport with your material and spiritual potencies." So the Vedas are saying, they are saying, victory to you, Jaya, Jaya. Oh my dear Lord, please remove illusion from us. You are the master of the illusion, Maya. And the Maya is causing us difficulties. And only Krishna can remove that. The process is very simple. Let us say I go to one person's house. There is a board written there. Beware of dogs. Despite of the warning I have entered, there is a very, very dangerously looking, heavily built dog, which is unleashed, which comes barking upon me and puts its feet on my shoulders and is looking face to face with a big mouth, barking on my face. At this moment, what should I do? Should I worship to the dog or surrender it or call out the owner? Just think about it. What would you do? What would an intelligent person do? Will you call out the name of the dog or will you call out the name of the owner? What do you do? Can you unmute and say? Hare Krishna.
We call the owner.
Should call the owner. Then as soon as you call the owner will say, "Tommy, stop. Come here." Then it will come running back. This is our situation. So when Maya is standing in front of us, face to face, and we are repeatedly getting disturbed, getting kicked by Maya, The conclusion is not to worship Maya. The conclusion is we have to loudly call out the names of Krishna so that he immediately comes and rescues us from this Maya. So that's what the Vedas are saying, that you awaken all the energies of all the living beings, and sometimes the Vedas can recognize you. The Vedas can recognize Krishna. It is not that Vedas cannot recognize God. They're not able to recognize it fully, but to partial extent they are able to. That is the reason why we are reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. If they cannot recognize Krishna, why will we read? So this is the only place. So it is absolutely a myth to think that Sanatana Dharma has no single God. It is a declaration of the lazy people who have not cared to read Bhagavad Gita carefully, faithfully, without enviousness, without proper attention, without devotional service. They have read and they have come to such a false conclusion. So that's what Lord Sri Krishna is giving, saying that a person who is searching after the absolute truth must stop here. If you're looking for who is the absolute truth, Atato Brahma Jignasa, okay, you start with impersonal Brahman, Nirakara, and beyond the Nirakara, you see, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. The Nirakara Brahman, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. And we realize, oh, impersonal Brahman is coming from Lord Krishna. Oh, how is it possible? How is it possible that impersonal can come from personal? Personal is coming from impersonal. Okay, somebody can argue. See, before constructing this building, the plan was in my mind. So that plan was impersonal. Now the plan has manifested as a building. Now it is personal. So the impersonalist may argue like that. So for that, we can say, okay, you're saying that the personal things have come from impersonal. What about the sun and the sunlight? The sunlight is coming from the sun, or the sun is coming from sunlight? The sunlight is coming from the sun. And the sun is the origin of the sunlight, even though sunlight represents the sun. Therefore, Nirakara Brahman is the light that is emanating from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it has got a source, that is Krishna. That is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, we shall accept it. Therefore, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. There is no superior truth than me. We cannot violate that word of Bhagavad Gita and still say that Nirakara Brahman is greater. That will be deception, cheating. Therefore, Krishna is saying, if you are searching for absolute truth, stop here. This is the absolute truth. So this is the wonderful instructions that is given. So that's how, that is the knowledge that Uddhava is seeking. That's the knowledge that Uddhava is seeking. Knowledge of the absolute truth. By knowing which, there shall be nothing remaining to be known. Is there something by knowing which there shall remain nothing to be known? That is the knowledge of the absolute truth, Krishna. Then now, Sa evam aradita padatirthat, Sa evam aradita padatirthat, Adi tatvatatma vibodha margaha, Pranamya padam parivritya devam, Iha gatoham viraha turatma. I have studied the path of understanding self-knowledge from my spiritual master, the personality of Godhead. And thus, after circumambulating him, I have come to this place very much aggrieved due to separation. So, Uddhava got personal instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead about this transcendental knowledge about the absolute truth. He got it directly from Krishna. And Maitreya was sitting along with Uddhava. This Maitreya also has heard this. And now he shall instruct the same thing to Vidura. So this is the process of disciplic succession. Hear it from the Lord, and faithfully reproduce it without any interpretation. There is no need of interpretation. Vedanta Sutra says, Shastra Yonitvat. Shastra Yonitvat means we have to understand the absolute truth. We must understand Brahman from the knowledge of the scripture. We cannot change it or interpret it. We don't need to use our speculative mindset. Just like the speculators, they say, Kurukshetra means not Kurukshetra, our body. Pandavas means not Pandavas, 5 senses. Krishna means not Krishna. This is mind. This is called as speculation. This is unauthorized speculation. When the meaning is direct and clear, why do we need interpretation? We will require interpretation for distortion. So this is what has been happening. If I do not want to follow the instructions, then I shall distort it. Right? So just like if a mother says to the child, stop watching mobile and start studying. Now, if I start using my speculative mindset, I can start analyzing this grammar of the sentence. My mother said, stop using mobile and start studying. So she said, stop the mobile. But she did not say, stop the laptop. So let's open the laptop. She said, start studying. She didn't say what to study. So therefore, I shall study in YouTube, some cartoons. So this is called speculation, right? So somebody, the child, he wants to distort it. So the only intention of the child is that he has got some conception. The child wants to do it. So he shall interpret it and make sure that the instructions are spoiled with all the efforts. This is possible. With speculative mindset, that is what the impersonalists, they're bent upon distorting the original instruction of Krishna. Krishna says, surrender unto me. They will say, surrender unto me means not me. It is something else. Like the child is saying, do not watch mobile means not mobile. Open the laptop. Study means open the YouTube. So like that, they will just put their propaganda instead of just taking the direct instructions of Krishna. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Krishna is telling, think about me, become my devotee. And they're saying, me means impersonal Brahman. Become the devotee of impersonal Brahman. How do you become the devotee of impersonal Brahman? Can someone become impersonal Brahman devotee? Krishna is saying, Patram pushpam balam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Give me fruit and flower. So no, not to Krishna. Give it to the vacuum, light. Light a candle and give the fruit to the light. This is nonsense. So the unauthorized speculators, they are speculating. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, by speculating about the transcendental knowledge, by not taking it directly as it is, by distorting, even Srimad Bhagavatam, they distort and they give lectures. So they shall go to a hell known as Andhata Mishra. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, those people who are envious of me, mischievous, who criticize the real religion and who criticize me, they shall attain repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, and they can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So that's what we have to understand, right? So, but then, what happens is the impersonalist, they take the shelter of Shankaracharya. They say, Shankaracharya has said it. Therefore, this is like this. But Srila Prabhupada is saying here, the purpose of Lord Shiva incarnating as Shankaracharya and giving us this knowledge is for a certain purpose, to defeat Buddhism. So at that time, it was relevant and it was important to defeat Buddhism and to establish Sanatana Dharma. So that was the purpose of Shankaracharya's commentary. And therefore, Shankaracharya did not even write commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Because if we write in Srimad Bhagavatam and say Krishna is impersonal, it would be an offense to the Lord. Therefore, he didn't do that. So it is a progressive knowledge that Shankaracharya has given. That the first basic step of the spiritual life is that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. That is the first lesson that we have to get from the impersonal knowledge. It's the starting of the spiritual life. I am not the body. And spiritual life is different from material life. And it is not like a material form or material name, it is spiritual. This is the lesson that we have to draw. But beyond that, we have love. First is logic, next is love. We should not get stuck at logic. There is love. We should start loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the ultimate purpose of life. Beyond dharma, artha, kama and moksha is bhakti. Brahmabhuta prasannatma nashochati nakangshati samassarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Krishna is saying that after attaining the Brahmabhuta liberation stage, we shall attain the devotional service. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. That means beyond the platform of the liberation is the platform of pure devotional service. That's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, they used to dance in Srivas Angan to the Kirtan of Krishna continuously for 72 hours. Without food, without water. Can you imagine that? 72 hours of dancing and singing without food, without water. So this is the challenge to all the materialistic people who are dancing in the pubs. Let them dance for 72 hours and show without food and without water. And to all the impersonalists and the yogis who claim that they're enjoying something very, very blissful, let them show that what they are enjoying. Because there is a gradation of happiness. Jada Ananda, Brahmananda, Premananda. Jada Ananda is happiness derived out of material pleasure. Just like the people who are dancing in the pub. Jada Ananda. Beyond that is Brahmananda, the happiness that comes out of the impersonal Brahman. And in comparison with the Brahmananda, if you compare Jadananda and Brahmananda, Brahmananda is like an ocean in front of the Jadananda. The happiness that you get by dancing in a pub is nothing in front of what you get, the dancing of impersonal Brahman. And this impersonal Brahman happiness, Brahmananda, is like a small drop in comparison with the Prema Ananda, pure love of Krishna. The love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates are experiencing and have shown us. It is the same love for Godhead that Srila Prabhupada has for Krishna, for which he took so much of trouble and he used to work so hard. He said that these commentaries are my prayers, are my feelings for Krishna. Every feeling of Prabhupada is recorded as a commentary here. We can see every shloka is filled with so much of meaning. And the purports are filled with bhava. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. Krishna is commending that. Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all the material worlds and the spiritual worlds, and the intelligent person who understands this, he shall worship me in pure devotional service with all his heart. This is the symptom of a completely realized spiritual person. Pure devotional service. That is the ultimate goal of life, to attain love of God. You see how Vidura is feeling separation. Just see that. This is not material. This is spiritual. This is prema. He's saying that, see, I got this knowledge from Krishna and I've come to the, I'm feeling very, very aggrieved due to separation. Just look at these words. Soham taddarshanāhlāda viyogagarti yutah prabho gamishye dayitam tasya badari ashrama mandalam. My dear Vidura, now I am mad for the want of the pleasure of seeing him. And just to mitigate this, I am now proceeding to Badarika Ashrama in the Himalayas for association, as I have been instructed by him. So the symptom of a pure devotee is this madness, intense attraction towards Krishna, intense attraction. Just like how Radharani had for Krishna. So Radharani says that, oh my dear friends, gopis, after I have seen that blackish boy, all my senses are pulling me in 10 directions. My eyes, after seeing his beautiful form, are pulling me towards his form. My ears are just pulling me towards his flute. Each and every sense is pulling me in such a way that I think I will now die. This is called love of Godhead. So here he's saying, become mad now. I want to see Krishna. So that's why I shall run to Badarikashrama to see him. In Badarikashrama, we have Naranarayana Rupa. Naranarayana Rupa, that is, Naranarayana is a incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the incarnation of Nara and Narayana. Just like Krishna and Arjuna, you see in my picture background. In the previous incarnation, they were Nara and Narayana. Narayana Rishi, Nara Rishi. There are two Rishis who do intense tapasya. Intense tapasya. And they are tried to be disturbed by so many apsaras, by Indra. And the apsaras accept defeat. They dance in front of Narayana. And Narayana says, what do you want to do? You want to affect me with lust? It's not possible. The Cupid, Manmada, is the son of Krishna actually. So Baap hota hai. Father. So he's saying, lust cannot affect me. What are you trying to do? I will show you someone who is more beautiful than you. And he produces Urvashi from his thighs. And when she danced, they became unconscious. So then they realized, here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why will the Supreme Lord be affected by lust or anger? See, Supreme Lord is one whose names, if we chant, the insignificant living entity can conquer lust and anger. How can the Supreme Lord be affected by lust and anger? That's not possible. So therefore, Nara and Narayana, they are incarnations of the Supreme Lord who have come to demonstrate the importance of tapasya. So now, even though Supreme Lord is not present now, okay, Uddhava is saying to Vidura right now that I shall now go to Badarikashrama. Because he can take the darshan of Naranarayana. So this should be our mood. When we enter inside the temple, we must think that we have entered into the palace of Lord Sri Krishna and we are taking the direct audience of Lord. This is the mood. This Badarikashrama sages Naranarayana are there. And what happened? Sri Shuka Vacha iti uddhavat upakarnya suhridam dussaham vadham jnanina samayat chatta shokam utpatitam buddha. After hearing Uddhava about the annihilation of his friends and relatives, Vidura pacified his overwhelming bereavement by the dint of his transcendental knowledge. So this transcendental knowledge is required for mitigating our bereavement, our distress. So Vidura took this knowledge from Krishna. Vidura took the knowledge from Uddhava. Okay, let's get it right. Vidura took the knowledge from Maitreya Rishi. Maitreya Rishi and Uddhava together took it from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by hearing that knowledge, Vidura pacified himself. He was able to control himself. The same feeling happened to Arjuna. When Lord Sri Krishna, he left the material world. And when Arjuna got to know, he was shattered. He was so shattered, so shattered, so shattered. At that time, he remembers the Bhagavad Gita. He remembers the instructions of Bhagavad Gita because the instructions of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. Bhagavad Gita is non-different from Krishna. If you remember, Krishna or Bhagavad Gita is the same. If you can chant Hare Krishna, it's the same. Lord's names, forms, pastimes, and anything in relationship with Krishna is non-different from him. So like that, you see, Uddhava is speaking, right? So that's what has happened. So now next what happens is, Uddhava is giving a lot of prayers. And then finally, the conclusion is, my dear King Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly apprised him on the subject as it has been spoken directly by the Lord to his own son, was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. So finally, the conclusion is, Shukadeva Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj, when he asked this relevant question, please give me transcendental knowledge. At that time, Shukadeva Goswami related this pastime of Lord Krishna giving this Chatushloki Bhagavatam to Brahma, which was again given by Lord Sri Krishna personally to Uddhava and Maitreya, and which was in turn given to Vidura. And this knowledge, it is said in this verse, the final verse of this chapter, that it was given to Brahma. And Brahma is the son of the Supreme Lord. And he is impregnated with Vedic knowledge from the very birth. As soon as he was born, he engaged in tapasya and Lord gave him the knowledge. So what is the conclusion of today's class? The conclusion of today's class is that the supreme object of worship for all the living entities is Lord Sri Krishna. And the supreme goal of life is to attain loving devotional service unto him. And to know this, our position and the position of the Lord, and to be firmly fixed up in the devotional service, this is called as transcendental knowledge. And by simply knowing this knowledge, accepting it, understanding it, and engaging in the devotional service of Krishna, we shall not be disturbed by the cycles of creation and annihilation of the material universe, because we shall attain the same nature as that of Krishna, Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So we should seek this in our lifetime and try to understand this. Repeatedly read this Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. We don't have to blindly accept it. We don't have to blindly accept it. Actually, if we blindly accept it, we can go back to Godhead. But even if we don't want to accept it, no problem. Srila Prabhupada says, read these books carefully. Read these books. He has given us Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam with commentary, the authentic verses written by Vyasadeva, word to word meaning, translation. Understand the theme. Understand the theme. Don't come to quick conclusion. Understand the theme. It's like there's a movie. I go to a movie and I just go and watch it for 10 minutes. In that, it is shown that there is some side hero is being glorified. There are so many heroic moments for that side hero. Just exit the cinema hall and somebody asks me who is the hero, and I say this person. This is a false conclusion because I have not watched the entire movie. You have to watch the entire thing, understand the theme. Read the entire novel, understand the theme. Read the entire Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavatam. Understand the theme. Who is the object of glorification of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavata? Understand. Indeed, Krishna is the object of glorification in all the Vedas. Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo. The entire Vedas, the purpose is to glorify Krishna only. But sometimes, just like in a movie, there is some side heroes, side actors, side actresses, they are being praised. But if we do not focus on the complete big picture, we get confused. So we should not have a small vision. We should have a broad vision. That's why Krishna says, Udaradihi, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, Jajantihi Sumedasaha. Udaradi means broad-minded. Have a broad mind and think. And read the scriptures carefully. And then come to a conclusion. And then come to the conclusion. Then the conclusion will be same as that of Arjuna. Arjuna is confiding, oh my dear Lord, you are the Parabrahman, Param Brahma, Paramdhama, Pavitram, Paramamidam. And in the past, Narada has said, Asita has said, Devala has said, Vyasa has said, now you are personally declaring you are Supreme Lord. I shall accept it. The realization of Arjuna. This is the realization of Parikshit Maharaj, who asked the questions to Shukadeva Goswami. This is the realization of the Vyasadeva, realization of Maitreya Rishi, realization of Uddhava, realization of all the pure devotees. This is the realization we should come to. If we have come to that realization, then Krishna, what is he saying? If you come to that realization, he's saying, Yomam evam asammudho janati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. Sasarvavit. What is a symptom that he has understood Krishna? Bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Understanding Bhagavad Gita, understanding Bhagavatam means engaging in devotional service of Krishna with full devotional service, with full sincerity, with full love. He therefore engages himself in the full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your audience and for your time. Hare Krishna, thank you. If you have any questions, you can please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Wonderful lecture.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna Prabhuji, I have a small doubt.
Yes, please.
You mentioned in the class that Krishna was cursed by the Brahmanas.
Not Krishna, Krishna's family.
Oh, Krishna's family.
Yes.
But yesterday I was listening to Mahabharata. It is even what is her name? Gandhari also cursed after all her sons died. She cursed that Krishna will lose his entire family members. So are both of them right, or
Yes, both of them
is
are right. Gandhari also has cursed Krishna, and the
because she
Brahmanas
is
also have cursed.
what is that? Vakya Shuddhi unna Manishi avade. So she
Actually,
has
yes.
also cursed.
Yes, the reason why Krishna accepted that curse from the Brahmanas and from this Gandhari also,
Gandhari.
both of them, there's a
Hmm.
purpose. Actually, name karmani limpanti, name karma phalasprihaha. There is no work that can affect me, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. But still, he accepts this for a pastime. There are two things that he is giving in this. First thing is he has to close his pastimes. So for
Correct.
that purpose, for a closure of the pastime, he accepts this kind of thing. For example, Lord Ramchandra also, once Durvasa comes, right? So that was the end of Lord Ramchandra's pastime. Durvasa comes and Yama, Lord Rama was talking to the death personified. And then Lakshmana comes. Lakshmana interrupts him. And then Durvasa comes. So like that, that's a pastime. Because there must be a reason for Lord to go back, right? Similarly, here also, Lord has to now go back. All these Vrishni, Bhoja, all of them must be finished. So that's what is happening. So Gandhari, the purpose of Krishna accepting curse from her is because she's a Sati Stri. She's one among the chaste ladies who is remembered for her chastity. Because she was very chaste to her husband, because her husband was blind, she also accepted blindness. She blindfolded herself. So she is an epitome of a sadhvi. She's showing the epitome of chastity or mundane material, religious principle she's showing, dharma. So therefore, Krishna is accepting from her. Just to show that a chaste lady is very powerful. To show that to the world. And he's accepting the curse from the Brahmanas because just to show that these Brahmanas who are very, very sincerely dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Brahmanas means their main purpose is that they are remembering Krishna. So they are also very dear to Krishna, therefore he is accepting. Otherwise, he has no purpose to accept any kind of a curse from living entities. There's no benediction or a curse that can affect him. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the clarification.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We'll see you tomorrow in Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you very much. Dandavat pranam.